If you've never touched the button bar and the program monitor of Premiere Pro, you're probably leaving time and your sanity on the table. Today, I'm going to show you how to customize this bar to make your edits faster, cut smoother, and just generally make your life much easier. Let's talk about it. Internet, welcome back. It's your boy Robert Teegarden here again. Today, we are talking about the button bar in Premiere. Not the buttons! And how it generally is just going to make your life a ton easier. If you're new here, welcome. I post content on a weekly basis on filmmaking tips and the business of being a creative. If that's something you're into, I think you'll be into this video. Let's jump on Premiere and we'll talk about what the button bar is. The button bar is this little tiny space underneath your program window. And there's a bunch of different tiny tools that can help you be a faster, smoother editor. As you can see on the right-hand side, you can see this button editor, this giant thick little plus thing. It's not really giant, but comparatively speaking, it's giant. You click on that guy and you see all of these different buttons that you can add, right? They've got one for marking an in and an out point. They have one for removing an in and an out point. They've got one for going to an in and an out point. A lot of ins and outs at this point, which kind of makes sense. And you can also see in there that it's giving you the shortcuts for each individual thing that it's talking to you about, which I tend to think is very helpful. Big shortcut guy, a bunch of videos on shortcuts. If you like shortcuts, check them out. But you can grab these things and simply just drag them. You can see that little phantom kind of ghost symbol right there and place them literally anywhere you want to. You can see it go from your little cursor view here into a hand that's basically gonna like slap it down into the button bar, dare we say. If we don't like those things, we can move them around. You can see everything kind of shifting back and forth as we would like to move each individual button in the button bar all the way around. A lot of buttons, baby. Yes! The other thing I really like is that I can kind of move when I go back in here, I kind of like move stuff where I want it to be and create kind of the things that I know I'm going to use on a regular basis. It's kind of how I like to have things. And so you can add tons of different things, screenshots, exporting a frame, multicam recording on and off, all those sorts of things. And it's just a way of kind of at a snapshot. If you don't want to use a keyboard shortcut, you can click on these things and give yourself a fighting chance to be quick about it. And it's all stuff that you should be utilizing on a regular basis. So now that we know how to customize our button bar, let's talk about some of the useful features that you can have inside of the button bar that'll make your life a lot easier. Now I want to go over all of the ones that I have that are must-haves in my button bar and ways in which I use them. Last week, we were talking about how to maneuver your timeline display settings. And one of the things that we were talking about is showing the proxy badge. Well, if you go up here, you can see that this is toggle proxies on and off. And if you need to use a proxy workflow, which if you're using a high resolution file workflow, you should probably check something like that out. I did a video on this a while back. You can check it out. It's a great video, by the way. Really great. You can turn proxies on and off. The cool thing is you'll know when that button is enabled by the fact that there's kind of this little gray silhouette that is depressed, so to speak. Not like sad, but it's like pushed in. And you can kind of see at a glance which ones are on and off. If I want to turn proxies on, I click it in and depress the button and it sees that little gray thing. If I want to turn it off, boom, it's done there too. Another one that I use all the time is this safe margins guide. It's kind of difficult to see on this one. Let's go over to my custom workspace. I have some other ones that are laid out here. So we'll go into this one. And if I want to see what safe zones are here, this is a way from a broadcast setting to see like where are my graphics and my margins, my lower thirds going to be, and where are they safe of not flying in and out and getting clipped off in any particular way. That one really helps a ton. Another one I use all the time is global effects mute. If I'm working through a system and I know that I'm going to need something where, it's my puppy again, where I need speed, I don't need to have my system being bogged down by unrendered files that have effects on them. I can toggle my effects on and off on a global timeline perspective. Right now, what I have here is just color correction on this one, but you can see if I enable that button, all the color correction goes away on all of the files, which is really helpful. Super useful there. This loop playback button, this is really helpful for me if I'm creating reels that I want to loop back onto itself, or I'm working a very specific section of my timeline where I want to be able to hear and or work on that particular section over and over and over again. It's helpful for audio specifically when I'm using sound effects and sound design stuff. But if I just play this through right here, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It'll loop right to the beginning again.
I'm back, baby. Back in the gym. It's your boy, Paul Pierce.
Right at the front, right? So that one's really helpful. You can set your in and out point to whatever you want to. It's super efficient and helpful. Another one that we use all the time is exporting a frame. If I wanted to be able to show people what like a color grade looks like, or I need to actually grab a specific screenshot and extend that shot across an edit, maybe to do a scale or something like that. This is another way to do it. You hit that, it asks you exactly where you want to save that screenshot. Do I want to import it into my particular project? Really, really helpful button right there. Another one I use all the time is comparison view. If I'm in a color grading workflow, especially, and I want to be able to match cameras back and forth, I can use this comparison view and I can kind of move this marker to different shots within my sequence. And then I can utilize this back and forth to be able to see exactly which view I'm looking at and exactly which colors I'm supposed to be matching. I can do them side by side this way. I can do them on top of each other this way. A couple different ways of viewing these things. All of them are very helpful regardless of how you use them. And if you're in a multicam workflow, you can toggle multicam view on as well. It gives you the ability to see all 4 cameras up at the same time, which is incredibly helpful so that you can see which cameras you're switching to and what is happening on each individual camera that you're switching back and forth to. I use this workflow a ton in my multicam setups, especially when I'm doing podcast or multicam interviews. It's incredibly helpful and super effective to be able to see back and forth on the cameras that I'm utilizing. And before I let you guys go, I want to give you 2 final tips. The first one is to make sure that you don't over clutter your button bar. The real problem here is that if you put a bunch of different buttons on there trying to figure out exactly what's going on, it's not really going to speed up your workflow because you're going to be searching through that button bar trying to figure out exactly which one is useful for the particular situation that you're going to be in, which brings me to my second point. Move them around. Like, it's a fluid situation as much as your edits are. I'm constantly moving and taking things away depending on the types of edits that I'm doing. So while you're playing around with these things, add them, taking them away, and just have fun customizing this button bar. And with that being said, ladies and germs, it's your turn. Go ahead and figure out exactly the type of situation that works best for you. And if you have a particular situation that you think is going to be useful for us, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. And with that, ladies and germs, that's another video in the can. If you like this video, like the damn video. If you haven't already, hit the bell and ring the whatever the saying's supposed to be about subscribing that we are supposed to encourage all of you to do, because I think you're going to find a ton of value here on this channel. And I'll see you guys next week with the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.